Hi there and welcome to a new video in which we're gonna be comparing how we can handle data in Godot by using something called resources, okay, in which we can have, for example, different enemy types. So for example, this is an enemy that is called cool square that is of type blue, that has a certain texture, certain speed, movement range, etc. And well, basically in this game, for example, it's something very simple. We just have different enemy types, and as you can see, for example, the red one moves way faster, the blue one is a little bit slower. They have, of course, different colors. And for example, in the case of Unity, okay, we have this kind of, let's say, Clash Royale game, or well, strategy game here that we can drag and drop troops. And of course, these different troops also have their different properties. Some troops deal more damage than others. Some troops are, for example, attack in short range, other in long range. So that is very different. Let's actually take a look at how that is set up over here. Here we have cards in this case, okay, and here we have the different scriptable objects. Here they are called. And these ones are the archers, okay, so they have a certain card image, as you can see, and they have, well, different datas over here, okay. So as you can see, it can seem a little bit complex, but actually understanding how it works in Unity and Godot can help you even understand it more. Why? Because, for example, here, what is pretty interesting that in the archer, for example, or in mostly any data, there is a placeable data. So this is data that is connected with other data. So if we take a look at the archers, once again, they have different placeable data. So this archer has a data over here that has, once again, more data connected, the attack range, hit points, etc. If we go back here to the archers, you have even more data over here. So let's start comparing all these things in this video. So first of all, let's try to understand a little how all this is working. So in the case of Godot, which is like the simplest example, we just have a world scene with some collisions over here, and we just have three scenes instantiated over here, okay, which are basically this exact same scene, but they have different enemy stats loaded in, okay. So if we take a look at the script over here, it's very simple. It just has an exported variable. So remember, the export annotation allows you to assign values in the inspector. That's why we can see it over here and assign it over here. And this is of type resource. Okay, so what is a resource actually? Is this enemy resource over here, which, as you can see here, we add the extends keyword to it. And this is the actual data that we define. So here we have not only variables themselves, values, but also we can store functions, okay. So then what we do is create different resources. For example, this one is for the blue enemy, and we load in, or actually set, the different values. So for example, here you have name, and it is over here. We have the type, which is over here, and here's the enum of the types. We have the texture, which is over here. We have the speed, well, all that. The green enemy also has its own data, and the red enemy also has its own data. And so you can see in the enemy base, what we have over here are the different enemy stats loaded in. So this is the red enemy in this case, this is the blue enemy, and this is the blue enemy as well. And if we take a look at the code itself, what we can see is that, okay, in the ready, what we're doing is, okay, set modulate, which will basically do this. So let me go to the enemy base, and it's gonna grab the enemy base and go over here to modulate and just basically change the color to whatever we have stipulated in the find appearance function of the enemy stats. So first of all, what you can see is that this enemy resource, let's say, acts in the same way as a script, okay. So as you can see, we are still calling a function as if we were referring to a script, because itself, the resource, okay, itself is a script, okay. It is just that you cannot directly attach it to a game object in this case, okay. It's not meant to be attached to a game object, okay, what you would call in Unity C# a mono behavior, okay. This is an asset, this is a script, but at the same time, assets and a script is an asset, okay. I believe that maybe have confused you a little bit, but I hope I didn't. So that's why you can actually also put functions there. This works in the same way, also the thing that you can store functions in Unity and in Godot. So this find appearance, what we have here is that, okay, it's gonna check the type that we have selected, basically what we select right here. So let me first of all create a new resource completely from scratch. Okay, so here in the resources folder or wherever you want, I want to create a new script. Okay, and I'm gonna call it new resource. Okay, I'm just gonna go directly with this, and here it is. Okay, and rather than extending a node, okay, what I'm gonna do is extend a resource. And by the way, I think there is a shortcut to do it, which is just create a new, no, sorry, a resources for what comes next. Actually, I thought that was a shortcut to extend resource automatically, but it's not. If not, you can also go to create new script, and here inherit from resource, but it's gonna do the exact same thing. Okay, so then after this, you can optionally have a class name. Okay, you can have it, but it's not really that necessary for this purpose, but it's gonna be helpful. Let me come to that in a second. And for this case, I will just create a test value. So test value, which is just gonna be an integer. It's pretty important here that actually in a lot of cases we're gonna use an export variable to set it in the inspector, and also you will want to use static typing. Okay, because if I don't set the type over here, then Godot won't know what type it is. And I believe 100% of changes, yes, whenever you want to use export, you must use here an integer. Okay, so let me save this and let me create a new folder. I'm just gonna call it new resource, just so that we keep things a little bit more organized. And I'm gonna create here a new resource. Okay, this is gonna pop up this new window. Okay, and we can actually save these changes before, and we have called our resource a new resource. But what we will actually see is that this doesn't exist. Why is that? If we actually set a class name, we will find it. So let's create a new class name. I'm just gonna call it new resource, for example, and I'm gonna create here new resource. Once again, make sure that you have your changes saved, and here I'm gonna look for new resource. Okay, and here it is. Okay, so now I'm gonna call it new resource 1, for instance, and I'm gonna save it right there. So here it is, and we have our test value that can be whatever we want. Now, something extra that was recently introduced is that you can now export a variant. Okay, so what this will do is that, let me actually save the changes. And here you're gonna be able to actually choose what type you want. So it can be an integer. Okay, no, actually this is not the type that I wanted. Here it should be basically just variant like this. Okay, and here you can actually choose the type for this here with this pen icon, and you can choose whatever you want. It can be vector2, an int, whatever it is, but I think it's just way easier to define it over here. Okay, but you also have that option if you want to, and you can set it up. So let's, for example, have a test value of 100. Okay, let me duplicate this resource, and I'm gonna call it a new resource 2. I've just duplicated with selecting it and pressing Ctrl D of duplicate, or you can also right click on it and press duplicate. Okay, it's gonna do the exact same thing, but this test value, let's make it 500. Okay, another thing I'm gonna add here in the resource is gonna be a name, export bar, let's call it resource name, which is gonna be a string, just so we have like an identifier. Okay, but I don't know why I'm receiving an error here. Oh, this is already a native class, so let's call it ID, maybe. Yeah, there it is. It was a reserved word. So for the ID, this is resource 1, so let's, for example, call it resource 1, and this one, let's call it resource 2. There it is. So I have these two. Okay, and then let's do another test value, second test value, and this is gonna be an integer. And now I want a function, so let's do it over here on ready. There it is. And what I'm gonna do, sorry, I didn't want to do it here, I just wanted to assign the value here. So test value, second test value, I don't know, 400. Okay, and over here a second value of 200, whatever it is. I don't really care. I wanted to create a function that I was gonna call add values, okay, or actually print values. Print values, print, add and print, actually add and print, because what I just want to do is create a new variable, added values, which is basically just gonna be test value plus second test value, as simple as that. And what I'm gonna print is, first of all, the ID. So here it is, ID. Then I'm gonna print test value, and I'm gonna print the test value, but here I should be receiving a compiler error, yes, because we have to convert it into a string. Sorry, here to, I also did here, like, yes, str, there it is. And let me just print the rest of the values that I want. So here is the function. I print the ID, I print the test value, I print the second test value, I print the added values, which is calculated over here, and then I just print here some dashes so that I have separation. Now, what I'm gonna do is that in the Word, for example, I'm just gonna attach here a brand new script. Okay, and the only thing that I will really have is an export variable, which is gonna be an array of these resources. So new resources array, which is gonna be of type, of course, array of new resource. In this case, we can call it just like that. And on the ready function, what I can do is iterate on each of these. So for new resource in new resources array, and this new resource type is gonna be new resource, what I can do is new resource dot add and print values. Okay, why do we also have auto completion here? Because we are using static typing. If we weren't using static typing, we shouldn't be having that auto completion, because Godot doesn't know the type of this new resource. Okay, if you can check it over here, I put the dot here. Well, it does know because I have typed here the array. Okay, but once again, I believe that you do understand the point of this. And then what I do in the Word is just that I'm gonna load in these two resources. So resource 1, resource 2, there it is. And when I press play, I should have this. Okay, so I have ID, resource 1, resource 2, test value 100, 400, the added value is this one. And here we have the same thing. So as you can see, we are handling data, we are calling functions, doing all that. Now also, another very cool thing, I'm gonna do it with the enemy, since I have like way more data here, is that, as you can see, if I now check the enemies, what happens is that, well, everything's kind of all together, and we can categorize this, because as we have seen, for example, in the Unity project, there were like a lot of things. Okay, so what we can actually do is add the export category, okay, annotation. So we can call these ones, which are name and type, basic data, for example, and we can save it, and now we see it. Okay, basic data. Not only can you do that, but for example, let's do it maybe, yeah, let's say that damage and data are also part of the basic data, but they also refer to the attack, for example. So we can actually export a subgroup. Okay, so we can call it, for example, attack data, or whatever you want. This is just, once again, an example. And when we save, we see here the attack data that allow us to kind of nest data. Okay, so that's also pretty useful. And by the way, before I forget, these are the two videos that that had the source code that I'm using for both Godot and Unity. This is from Godot, and this is the one from Unity. And in Unity, it's basically very similar. So what we have here is kind of the Archer placeable data, and this placeable data is basically the resource. Let's not pay attention to, for example, the namespace here. That doesn't really matter here. The syntax here is a little bit different. Okay, we have this attribute create asset menu that has a certain file name and menu name. Basically, if we want to create the resource, or actually the scriptable object, we have to go to create and then find this category, which is Unity Royal, and then placeable data. So here we should be able to find it. Let's check where this is. It's basically here at the very top, Unity Royal, and here we have placeable data, so it's basically that. And this file name is the default file name. We have the public class as usual, but here it doesn't inherit from mono behavior, it inherits from scriptable object, okay? So this is the equivalent from extending resources, but here we have to kind of extend or inherit from scriptable object. We have headers, which are the same things as exporting a group. Was it? No, it wasn't called a group in Godot, it was called a category, I think it was. Yes, here it is. So it's the same thing here, but here in Unity, it's actually called a group, okay? In Unity is called a header. I'm sorry, I want to come back to the data over here so that we can check it out. Archers, and I want to go to this card data. No, but the card data from the archer. Here it is, okay? So here you can see the headers, common, units and buildings. Unfortunately, Unity, as far as I know, doesn't have an attribute for the one that is called in Godot the subcategory, subgroup, sorry. That is pretty useful because you can see this can get very clumsy and you don't have this in Unity, unfortunately. But the way in which this works is the same thing. You have your own variables. So again, in this case, you have to specify that these are public variables. You set them all up. Okay, or you can even store, of course, private variables and serialize them. You can have setters and getters. You can have whatever you want because this works in the exact same way as a script. Okay, it has mostly the exact same thing that you would expect. Of course, you don't have some methods because we are not inheriting mono behavior. So if you wanted to call start, well, in this case you don't have it right here, but in reality, if you go to the scriptable object definition itself, you still find that it has the mono behavior method such as start, update, and all that basically. But of course, they wouldn't work in the exact same way since the scriptable objects are not attached to the object. So once again, I don't want to get too technical. But if, for example, so we go to the archer itself, to the prefab in this case, here, okay, we should find somewhere attached this data that we've been talking about, or in somewhere in the code. Well, this code is a little bit big, so it's maybe complicated to see where this has been attached or where this actually being used, okay? But also how you attach this data is in the exact same way. You basically just drag and drop it, okay? Yes, because here we have an activate function that receives a placeable data and assigns them different values that are stored in this placeable data that we have checked before. And in reality, we may be able to check it out. I don't know why it doesn't allow me to find the references, which is pretty interesting. But well, here it is in the game manager. We have a setup placeable, which receives the placeable data and pass it through it. So as you can see, it's the exact same thing. Right? Just that this Unity project is a little bit more complex than what we see in Godot, but as you can see, they share mostly the exact same things. If you liked my explanations, the cool thing is that if you go to the description of this video, you're gonna be finding this link, which is basically gonna give you 1 month free of Skillshare, okay? You basically log in and you have 1 month free, in which you're gonna be able to access all my classes here with more than 100 students. Once again, 1 month, 100% free. I have Godot classes, Python classes, Unity classes, AI classes, lots of classes, or you can even access these courses separately on Udemy. So here you have the links, for example, for the different Godot courses. You can check them all out. So this one has amazing reviews, a huge number of students. So you can see all these things in the description of this video, as well as a full Unity course of more than 20 hours of content. Okay, so make sure to check all this out in the description, and I will see you there. Bye bye.